everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm sharing my unfiltered journey through IBD, fertility struggles, and becoming a mother at over 40. This is real, messy, hopeful story that I hope will bring you some comfort if you're going through a similar journey. So far, you've seen how it all started in January 2017 with a bathroom uh-oh moment and my first colonoscopy. Then Marco dropped the baby bombshell, I want kids, which sent me into full project management mode. At 39, I had to decide whether or not I wanted to have children, and also if I was even capable of having them. I started acupuncture, cleaned up my diet, and got ready. By my 40th birthday, I was celebrating at a drum and bass festival in Croatia, living my best life before baby making began. Which brings us to chapter 3. In case of emergency, the toilets are here, here, and here. This is the chapter where I became the ultimate fertility optimizer, where I discovered that egg health matters more than quantity, where mild proctitis decided it was done with being mild, and where I had an incident in a public toilet that I still don't laugh about 7 years on. Oh, and you'll also learn why I always carry toilet paper now. Always. So let's dive in. I am the ultimate project manager, which drives Marco absolutely nuts sometimes. So when he dropped that baby bomb in early 2017, after I'd recovered from the shock, I did what I do best. I researched everything. I switched to a fertility-focused acupuncturist, enter Huri Alvari. She's amazing. Then I discovered this book called It Begins with the Egg. Now, this book changed everything for me. The premise was simple, but powerful. Egg health matters more than egg quantity. You can have loads of eggs, but if they're not healthy, you'll struggle to get pregnant. On the flip side, even with low egg reserves, good egg health gives you a fighting chance. So I dove into research and started taking Fertility Smart Conceive, Fertiligreens, Maca powder, Ashwagandha, as well as a few others. Now, Fertiligreens is only available in the US, which had ridiculous shipping costs. So thank God for family who are willing to play middlemen. This was just the beginning of the changes I'd make to stack the odds in my favor. In early 2018, I finally worked up the courage to have the baby talk with Marco. And after 8 weeks of waiting and giving him a few nudges, we had our plan. Marco would move in with me in August and we'd start trying for a baby in autumn. We decided to make the most of our pre-baby freedom. We went to Amsterdam, Sicily for his cousin's wedding, where we actually arrived later than the bride, by the way. And then for my 40th birthday in September, we went to a drum and bass festival in a Roman fort in Croatia, followed by a few days in Venice. It was lovely. It was ancient history meets modern beats. It was perfect. Meanwhile, I was optimizing everything. We went fully organic. I stripped out all toxins from beauty products, toiletries, household cleaners. I was preparing my body like an athlete for the Olympics. By October, I was fighting fit, healthy and buzzing. I had an IBD nurse appointment and I reported that everything was A-OK. My bowels were as regular as clockwork. I was far too happy, far too soon. The mild proctitis decided that it was done being mild. I spent a month playing flamingo with my head buried in the sand, hoping that it would just go away. Yet that doesn't work. I called the IBD team a week before Christmas. They were closed for the holidays. My GP prescribed steroid suppositories. They didn't work. In January 2019, the IBD team prescribed mesalazine suppositories. They didn't work either. And here's a fun fact. I discovered over the years that I'd never be given IBD medication that actually worked. It either did nothing or landed me in hospital. But that story comes later. Then the unthinkable happened. My menstrual cycle went sideways. It just stopped. Running became interesting at the beginning of 2019. And by interesting, I mean terrifying. Like, here's some advice I learned the hard way. If you feel any urgency whilst running, walk. Don't run. Running to the toilet just accelerates everything. And before you know it, you're in a grim public toilet at 7:30 in the morning, sorting yourself out and throwing your knickers in the bin. Yeah, that happened. It wasn't like that funny scene from The Inbetweeners. It's 7 years on and I still don't look back on it and laugh. I may be smiling now, but I still don't find that funny. And that was the beginning of my intimate knowledge of every public toilet in Brighton, their location, opening times, and which cafes had friendly staff who'd let you use their facilities. I started carrying toilet paper everywhere because you couldn't rely on it being there. The constant fear became part of my routine. Would I make it? Should I even leave the house yet? The anxiety was exhausting. When the medication proved useless, my mum recommended an allergy, nutrition and biochemistry screening clinic. I arrived at the office unsure of what to expect. There was this machine covered in wires and they clipped them to my fingers while I tried not to look too skeptical. And then they casually said, "You don't have any tonsils." Wait, what? How do you know that? They'd also successfully treated my dad for a condition specialists said he'd have to live with for the rest of his life. So, yeah, okay, you have my attention now. For an hour, they swapped these tiny vials of food in and out of this machine, taking readings. They checked my bowels and reassured me about my colon. The verdict was that I was allergic to cow's milk. I needed to eliminate white sugar and everything from the nightshade family for a minimum of 12 weeks. Like, what? No potatoes? What do you mean, no potatoes? And how was I supposed to live with a Sicilian without eating tomatoes, peppers, and aubergines? 3 months. That became the magic number haunting my entire journey. Diet changes? 3 months before you see improvement. Fertility supplements? 3 months before they take effect. Egg quality, minimum 3 months. Everything required 3 bloody months. Making these changes was brutal. Sugar and milk are hidden in absolutely everything. I became best friends with ingredient labels, and this was the first of many, many diet iterations. Like, eating became a chore. Restaurant menus filled me with dread. During all this chaos, Chatty Sicilian was born. It started as a pop-up restaurant concept promoting social dining. We wanted people to trade eating from their laps, watching TV, for proper Sicilian style dining at a table with conversation, like all that Sicilian family energy. We were building websites, scouting locations, planning menus. It was going to be incredible. We were so excited. 2 months later, I went back to the bioscreening clinic. All of my readings had improved, and even better, I had my first menstrual cycle in 3 months. There's that number again. I felt full of hope. I was making the changes, following the plan. Everything would work out. All that changed a month later, after a holiday to the US, and my first decision that could have altered everything. So that's chapter 3, the chapter where I optimized everything for fertility. My IBD stopped cooperating, and I learnt the exact location of every public toilet in Brighton. In chapter 4, you'll see that US trip. The moment doctors dismissed me as menopausal just because I was over 40, and the medical cascade that would land me in A&E asking, "What do you want us to do, Miss Tate?" If you've ever had to map out public toilets for your daily routine, if you've dealt with food intolerances that make life impossibly complicated, or if you've learned that 3 months is the magic number for everything, drop a comment. Let's compare notes on which cafes have the friendliest bathroom policies. Hit subscribe for chapter 4, where medical gaslighting reaches peak levels. Share this with anyone navigating IBD, fertility struggles, or just trying to leave their house without panic. Your voice deserves to be heard, always. And remember, always carry toilet paper.